my name is Mitch London, and today, or tonight, depending on when you're watching this video, we're going to take a look at the life and times of the London family and how they relate to a small town in New Mexico called Cloudcroft. Now, in order to do this, we need to go back in time, back to when things were still black and white. Ed London grew up in New York City along with brothers Leon, Murray, Herbert, and sister Rachel, no doubt running around driving their parents absolutely crazy. You know what they say, insanity is hereditary. You get it from your kids. Well, when Ed was a teenager, he contracted scarlet fever, and his doctor, Rhoda's cousin Adolph Berger, said that if he wanted to live very long, he needed to get out of the dirty air of New York City. So, in 1937, Edwin and Rhoda took about $500 and a 1927 Chevy and drove out west. They first settled in Pampa, Texas for a bit, but then Ed heard that business was better in the cotton-growing industries further north, so they moved to Wink. About 1939, they moved once again, this time to Carlsbad, New Mexico, where Ed decided to open up a fabric shop. Mickey was born in Carlsbad, New Mexico, 1941, but Mickey was a sickly child who did not have a strong appetite. A doctor suggested taking Mickey to the mountains for the summer of 1942 to see if the mountain air would do him some good. The family of three drove to Cloudcroft and rented a cabin. Mickey's eating habits improved immediately, and that started the tradition of going to Cloudcroft every summer. Back in Carlsbad, over the next few years, Ed and Rhoda had 3 more kids. Well, as you can see, Kathy, Judy, Patty, and Mickey kept their parents quite busy. Now, during this time, a war was going on, and the fabric industry was booming because of all the uniforms needed by the military. Ed would drive to New York, load up his car with fabric, and drive back and sell it. In 1948, Ed opened a store in Hobbs. After a while, a friend suggested Ed open a store in Austin, Texas. So you guessed it, they moved to Austin, where the first London Fabrics opened in 1948 on East 7th Street. However, business wasn't as strong as Ed had hoped. He had to hold a going-out-of-business sale. However, that sale created so much interest that he changed his mind and stuck with it. Rhoda had consented to move to Austin as long as they would continue to go to Cloudcroft in the summers, so Ed bought some land and a cabin was built in 1950. Years passed, and the kids grew up. They went to school, found sweethearts, and got married. And then they started having kids of their own. And these kids started growing up, and you all know how quickly kids get bored these days, so the family started taking their own kids to the mountains. kinds of activities for them in Cloudcroft, running around in the wide open spaces, horseback riding, fishing, and much more. Oh, and let's not forget going down to Alamogordo for White Sands. After a while, we noticed the cabin seemed to be getting smaller, especially with all these kids that are growing up. So the cabin had to be expanded. As you can see, the family got together and started the process of enclosing in the porch area to create more space. Everybody pitched in a little, and together we made enough room for everyone. So naturally, we all celebrated. We even gave the kids a tall, frosty one. Beer? It doesn't say anything in here about beer. Please tell me those were filled with water, right?
Yeah, sure. Water.
Okay, we continue now. We decided to have our family reunion complete with our own talent show. And with this many family members, you can imagine what we came up with. And it all started because of this talent show poster here. And that family tradition continues to this day. Now, there were many acts that were developed for the talent show. Some were absolutely fantastic, others not so great, and some, fortunately, never quite made it to stage. Here now is just a sample of what we put up with, but before we go on, let's take a break for our sponsor, Super Polydent Polygrip. And now we present the first annual Reunion Talent Show.
And now someone else is getting all your best. tell you about Ahab, the Arab, the sheik of the burning sand. Had him with the rubies just dripping off of him and a ring on every finger of his hand. He wore a big old turban wrapped around his head and a scimitar by his side. And every evening about midnight he'd jump on his camel named Clyde.
That famous day in history, the men of the 7th Cavalry went fighting on. And from the rear of what was heard a brave young man with a trembling word.
That's good, Holly.
What am I doing here? Please, Mr. Custer. I don't want to go.
Well, I guess that just about sums it up, doesn't it? You know, I've come to the conclusion that I don't quite understand what happened to us. How we went from a man of distinction so many years ago, Sam London, to this. Well, I must say one thing. I hope we never change. Good night.